This episode is brought to you by AC Infinity. The Ion Beam Kit is AC Infinity's full spectrum LED bar lighting. This kit includes a lighting controller, 4 LED grow light bars, and 4 steel bars that allow for flexible mounting on any part of the grow tent. Its unibody housing and aluminum board feature full spectrum Samsung LM301H white LEDs. And the beauty of it is you can integrate this with all of the AC Infinity products in your garden. And if for some reason you don't already have the Controller 6.9 Pro, well, this kit includes an innovative controller that features 4 brightness intensity levels and 4 daily timer settings. This LED is not only efficient, but very affordable, especially when using that discount code, TheStash15 at checkout.
What are we talking about today, boys?
Well, last night I went to a pretty cool event. Shout out to Exotic Matters. I saw YSG there as well. It's pretty cool. And it's one of those things that always makes me think about the difference between the industry and the community and kind of how they overlap, how they differ, and how we can bridge that gap a little bit more. I'm not talking about my teeth gaps are down, okay? Main thing is there's a difference. There's a big difference. And when people feel like they're going to be getting into the industry, it doesn't always mean you're tapping into the community. You're getting into the community. Or you think you're in the community doesn't mean you're in the industry. There is a big difference between the two. And I think discussing that may help people who are looking to either differentiate themselves, get into both sides or one or the other, and see how they kind of can come together too.
I came across a good description as I was doing a little bit of research and thought on this industry versus community. And I came across something I thought was very powerful to differentiate the two. Is an industry is all about commerce, and a community, even one where everyone doesn't live in the same physical space, is all about the people. And I think that does really good summary of industry versus community, really.
So it's over.
Done. Well done. That was a great epi, guys. You're absolutely right. It's people versus profit, right? Business versus culture. And I think that there is a lot of fear today that there's a blending of two of them, that the money is really having an influence on the people, and the people are having very little influence on the industry. And it's a legitimate fear when we go from event to event. Listen to us, we're going from state to state, and we're seeing that a lot of the people that are at the forefront of this industry have nothing to do with the community. They don't even enjoy the product, and that's a problem, because then there's a misunderstanding about where the priorities lie and where we should be heading forward. And I think it's a legitimate fear. So I think a conversation about the difference between industry and community is a great one to have.
Yeah, man. And this year is the first year I've really fully been in the industry besides being a content creator. And I feel like as a content creator, we're like the middlemen. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talk to the industry, but we speak for the community type of shit. And then when it boils down to the industry, most people in it aren't from the community. 1 out of 10, and literally what I've seen, 1 out of 10 have been caregivers in the past, have been consuming for a long time, have been doing more grassroots types of things. And whether they're doing it for money or not, they've been in it in the hardships that they've dealt with. And the things that they've gone through are things that everybody in the community can relate to. Essentially, like, we're all segregated from this industry for the reason of most of us don't want to go and just sell our soul for money. Most of us don't want to take this product and make a bunch of money of it. Others want to just get into it, and they don't give a fuck what the product is. They don't care at all if it's, flour, if it's disty, if it's fucking pills. It doesn't make a difference. Whatever makes them money. And it's the same thing with like the illegal side with cartels and gangs and shit. It's nothing to do with the product. They don't care about that. They just care about making money. And that's that huge division in the industry, I think, is that we've got people who are not in it for the same thing. They don't care about it. You know what I'm saying? They essentially just want to capitalize.
Man, I completely agree with you on that one. I mean, just talking to some of the folks in the industry here, it's such a different conversation. Sometimes it's just not aligned because I am so for the people, like creating content for people. But when you talk with these industry folks, there's people out there who their number one priority is this product going to sell? They look at that before they look at, is this product good for the customer, for the end consumer, right? So is it going to sell? And then also looking at the margin. So they won't even take products to the market, even if it's great for the consumer. They won't even take it to the market if they don't have a specific margin on that product. Now I get it, right? If you put a product to market, it could be good for the consumer, but you could end up losing money in the long run because it takes too much money to produce, to fulfill, so on and so forth. So I understand that you need to keep that in mind. But there's so many folks that work in the industry that don't have the end consumer at the forefront. The end consumer, and I take it back to me working at Amazon.com, is they're so hard on customer experience. Even when you're a picker and packer, it's all about the end customer experience. When you're picking that product off the shelf, you're looking at all the sides to make sure there's no damage, because you don't want that customer to have a bad experience. And when you're in the industry working and some of the higher levels up, specifically the industry that we're all talking about, the medicinal plant industry. I'm trying to tiptoe around the words there. There's a lot of folks that I've met personally that just aren't for that end consumer. And it's so sad. It's so sad that, me as a content creator, creating content for the people, what's best for the people. And I go in with the same mindset. What's the product for the person? What's going to be good for the person? And there's just so many people that are more so, okay, how much is it going to sell? What's the profit we're going to get off of it? That's most important. It's kind of somewhat sad to see.
Legalization, for those that don't know, I'm in Canada, so it is federally legal. I digress for many. But you still see a focus that is not on the consumer. The government focuses on access to children, focuses on access to the black market, to cartels, mafia, crime, so on and so forth. There is almost no guidance, regulation, policy on the consumer, because who cares, it seems, right? And yet these are the people that are going to be using the product. Our community is very unique in that it was built before the industry. We had the 70s, we had hippies, we had culture in our influence in music and the arts and movies, and there was no industry. There was nothing there because it was illegal. Now that you see the emergence of the legalization of it, you start to see now an industry being built, but it's not being built by the culture. It's being built by big money. Big money is like big tobacco, or they understand, well, wait a second, there's potential here. Let me just get in on it. Let me buy it all up and try to figure it out afterwards, rather than our community, who does not have big tobacco money, doesn't have pharmaceutical money. It just has community money. It's not nearly as impactful. You see this proliferation of people that have nothing to do with the product, the plant, the culture, the science. They got nothing. They just got money.
Yeah, and I think this is where our industry is. This isn't new, because anybody who's been a caregiver or who was a medical patient, we remember cash croppers. Remember, if you're in Michigan, you remember the motherfuckers who were pushing it over the state lines over in Ohio, and who were messing it up for all of us, and making them change the laws because people thought we were abusing it. Or the ones who were doing trades where you go and buy a shirt and you get a quarter and you pay top dollar. Like, these things that really just fucked it up for those of us who are trying to do it right. These are the cash croppers. And now a lot of these cash croppers have found investors from other states who will kick in money, who don't smoke, don't care, ain't even about it, and will flip over and do the same thing at scale. And people are like, oh, well, no, I've been in the legacy market and I've been doing this for this long. It's like, yeah, you were fucking people over in the medical market, and now you're doing it in the adult rec. So what's the difference? And then the only reason their prices go down is because the industry forces their prices to go down. Not because they're like, you know what? We should help people out. We make a ton of profit. We have 400% margin. No, their goal is literally to just sell more. So if the market's saying, hey, we're only doing bows for 900, well, guess what? They're doing them for 8. And it's not because they want to. It's because they're going to outsell their competition. They'll lose money just to be on top. And this is that capitalistic, toxic bullshit that's in this space. And like, don't get me wrong, make your money, boo-boo, do your thing, but you can do it ethically. There's ways to make money, and it's the byproduct of ethics and good business, Yeah.
This whole conversation is reminding me of like Lux Lighting and how they were bought out earlier in the year. Just what he was saying, companies are going to buy out these other companies. And then unfortunately, Lux Lighting didn't do much this year. So they have to actually close their doors over it. You know what I mean? So were they actually putting the customer at the forefront and putting out new products that are going to actually be better for the customer? No, they didn't do that. And so they saw their profits go down, although the whole industry has gone down this year. But it just, Lux Lighting came to mind when Pigeons was talking about, the money company buying out, spending the money to buy out these companies. And then, unfortunately for Lux Lighting, went down the drain.
And the thing is,
I was going to say, it goes the same way with other brands. I'm not going to throw their name out there, but there was another company who was wanting to just put out shitty, cheap lights just because they can, and there's money in it. And it's like, is that good for the community? Is that beneficial when science shows that those are low-end shit lights, and that now we've moved on to better things? But this is to help the industry, right? Or the community. Or which one is it?
This is where, in my opinion, we're starting to see a shift where over the course of the last, 10 years, as we've started to see legalization, you've seen the proliferation of the profits, right? But culture has had we're the ones with the money. We're the ones that get to make the decision as to who we're going to support and who we're not going to support. And that's something as a community we need to understand, and we need to be able to act accordingly. So when you've got a company, who purchased Lux? Hawthorne?
Hawthorne, huh?
So for 200 or I can't remember, 240.
I think it was 215 million, I believe.
Yeah, $215 million.
So it's like, well, how does Hawthorne have so much money? They own so much of the market, but it's that we keep giving them more money. We keep giving them the resource to keep wiping out our community. We need to understand, and that's why, I appreciate the piece that CLtv Rob did with the horrors of this kind of shit happening by Hawthorne, supporting companies, like Scott's and that are essentially wiping us out. And what do? We go back and we buy more shit from them. So, but now we're starting to see this shift. In my opinion, this is where the culture is starting to take back, because prophets have always said that you can only sell THC, CBD, done. That's it. Well, the culture says no. There's so much more important there, and I'm not going just on your THC and CBD. How come your $80 eighths with 30% THC suck, and your $40 eighths with 12% THC is so much better? That's where it's like the culture is starting to shift, where it's like we are starting to say, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense to me. There's so much more to offer in this plant, and I only get this. I only get THC, CBD, and a price tag. Like, come on, a way overpriced price tag. People are like, no. And that's where you're starting to see, like I said, the penetration of smaller grassroots companies that want to take a hold of this. And again, I've been using this company as reference multiple times because this company, or this man, single-handedly revitalized my enthusiasm for the dispensary and market and the industry as a whole. And that was Chris from Swank Genetics in Vegas. I've talked about him way too much. You almost think that I got a thing for him. Maybe I do. It's not business. But the thing is that this is a man who's hands-on in the industry. He owns a dispensary, owns a solid line of genetics, and is a grower. And he's so passionate. He's so passionate about the pricing, the quality, the marketing, the distribution, everything of his product. Where it's like he doesn't wear a suit. I saw him in sweats, a nice sweat suit. Every time he wasn't in a suit and tie,
kick back, chilling, smoking dudes the whole time,
and handing me cannons. Like, this is the industry that I didn't even know existed, and it only exists because the culture is penetrating it. Sorry, passionate.
Yeah, the community. I mean, and it kind of relates to content creators as well. Have a big impact of influence, right? You can call them content creators, call them influencers, whatever you want to call them. And us three, I mean, there's so many people that are bigger than us, have larger followers, and so on and so forth. And those are the folks that are educating the community on things, the right things, the right way to go about things, top quality products, so on and so forth. And because of that, the community is getting larger and they're more knowledgeable, and like you guys were saying, that it's pushing more towards pushing over to the businesses, and the businesses have to adapt to what the community wants. So there certainly is overlap happening.
You're
Yeah, I think that's where we're
100%.
spending. Well, like in Michigan's a great example. We've got a record number of sales and a record low sales for pound, like cost per pound or value per pound, we'll say. So it's like more people are buying it, but the industry's being forced to drop that price down. But you also have to have your quality up, because now people are like, fuck, I don't want to get that garbage for 50. I'd rather get a Z for 100 than for 50 of dirt. So then it's like the guys who just bring the dog shit, but it's weight, they're struggling now too, because it's like, man, people have realized now that more people are consuming it, more people who are educated have experience, and they're telling their buddies like, this is dog shit. Grow it yourself. Watch from the stash. Learn how to do it, versus a situation where you're wasting all this money on shit you don't even like to smoke. There's a big disconnect in the industry of like, well, as long as it hits the numbers of yield THC, it's good. It's like, well, smoke it, bro. It's dog shit.
You're absolutely right, and this goes beyond product. Or sorry, I got to frame this. This goes beyond plant matter, flower. This goes to product. I want to see businesses that are taking a stand with and for the community. And as Chris mentioned, it's like, as a content creator, we have an obligation, we have a responsibility to weed out the nonsense and try to find the good quality brands and the good quality companies in general. I love AC Infinity. I got respect for Spider Farmer. These are my personal sponsors, because these are companies that are willing to stand for the community. They're willing to stand up for the individual. They're willing to support, not just with words, but with money, good quality, innovative products. That's what's going to speak. That's where we should be sending our money, not to the Hawthorns, not to the Scotts, not to the, insert more brands that could get me some more hate messages. But, we need to make conscious decisions and you support the companies that are willing to support us.
Well, to be fair, I feel like Spider Farmer, not knocking them, they're a prime example of pressure from the community that
100%.
they realized before a lot of other companies did. That they're like, hey, we gotta do what the people want. And so they started innovating. They started making better quality lights. They got away from the quantum boards. They started getting their customer service better. They started having shit that was, from initially dog shit, I say it proudly, to way better. And I feel like a lot of that is Pigeons and is push. But the community, it's like when enough people bitch about it and quit buying the cheap lights with shitty warranties, they end up...
I represent the community. That's what it was. And it was my comment section. When people were having shitty interactions, bad experiences, it was my comment section that lit up. I'm the one that has to deal with the consumer. I'm the one that has to deal with the people that are using the products that I'm talking about. And if the industry can't catch up, can't keep up with that basic demand, then they're not going to make it. And you're seeing that happening. And 2022, people mentioned, was a very tough year. And I'm saying it wasn't tough for those that were in it for all the right reasons, and I'm, of course, there's always going to be the outliers, but it's like, it was a green rush. And same as the gold rush, not everybody realized that they could do it. Death occurred in the gold rush. People didn't see that. Well, death of business is occurring in the green rush, and that's because of the amount of people that threw money at it rather than understanding and really appreciating the culture and the grassroots of what it was all about and the struggle.
That's the difference, I feel like, between companies that are going to last in this. And that's, plug-in Franklin Fields in my team with Boco and stuff. The reason I started working with these guys is because I started seeing their story. The smoke was good. That's cool. The dispensary was great because the people there, the bud tenders were amazing. They knew all their shit. They were honest. They pointed me in the right direction. But then dealing with the behind the scenes stuff where I'm like, wait, this is a family company, not outside money. They put back into the community. They're trying to have fair pricing. They're focused heavy on the supply and quality of it because that's their ego. That's the ego part. It's not about getting the money. It's like, does this product speak for me? People are going to think that I've got the best shit. And that's the goal. And it's like, these are the companies that are going to last long versus the Sky Mints here in Michigan, buy up big factories. They essentially don't give a shit. They just want to be able to supply a product and meet the demand. And that's only going to last so long. Once people get pickier, you can't just have everything be Bud Light. You know what I'm saying? Like and no offense to Bud Light, but I mean like just generic light beer. It'd be the same thing with smoke, just generic light smoke. You can't have every product be that and based on price and this THC. Because when you smoke this versus that, last night I smoked a 9%er and I got pretty faded. 9%.
Of
But
course
it
you
tasted
did.
good.
Of course you did. And again, that's that realization that there's so much more there. There was just a huge push for a couple numbers, right? Just a couple numbers, but then it was like, wait a second, there's so much more to it, you know. And I want to point out a comment by YSG, because we're actually live on Twitch right now recording these episodes, which we do. If you didn't know and you're watching on YouTube, you can catch us live, twitch.tv/from the stash, once a week, every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central, 1 Eastern, 1 Central. Oh my God.
Yep. He just mutes himself real
Now
quick.
you're muted.
Comes back. It's good. It's a good mute
I hit
yourself.
I
We're
hit the
live
space
weekly.
bar. Come check it out. Come check it out every week, guys. We're live
Thursdays.
every week. You know the place. But her question was there's been a mass amount of layoffs towards the end of the year with big canna companies too. And so when we're trying to think of a solution to, like, so what is the difference and how do we get it so that, you know, the best occurs out of this situation? And that's the easy answer is there needs to be a quality blend of both. Big canna, or let's just say the culture doesn't have the money that the industry has. We simply do not have it. But the industry doesn't have the culture, the wherewithal, the understanding, and the connection to the community that the culture has, that the community has. So there needs to be a blend of both. And that's why I would argue that, yeah, some big canna companies went under as well, because they were just as solely focused on community and not as much about business and industry at the same time. Now, I'm saying that very ignorantly because I don't know the specific examples, but that's why I think that, you know, big business does have a place in the industry, but big canna has, or a big community has a place in the industry as well. It's just they need to work together. There needs to be tokers and jokers and smokers on every single board in every single room where where there's input and thoughts and ideas being brought to fruition.
That's the big issue, is the disconnect between the industry and the community, is not realizing that the way for the profits is to just give a shit and have ethics. It's crazy. But when you're tapping into a community, you can't jump into this with a monetization mentality. The money is the byproduct from the good that you do. If you put out a valuable product, people will pay for it. If you put a fair price where you can cover your costs and have some margins to make some profit, it's reasonable. And if you really came from the legacy market or the homegrown market, then you fucking know that. You don't just go based on what other people say. You go based on what you know as the consumer. You say, well, man, this product is decent, but it's not worth this ticket here, so I'm going to put it out at this. You know, it just depends. And I feel like it goes across the board from smoke to, you know, whatever product you want to insert here. If you don't use the thing and you don't realize that the community is so fucking critical, we will shun you out just as fast as we accepted you here. You know, it's if you come in looking too nice, you're a Chad and a Brad, and we don't trust you. You know, so it's a tight-knit community, and if you can't do it right, don't join us. Don't try to create a business around this community, because it's community first, industry second.
Yeah,
100%.
and I think moving forward, I can speak for all three of us on this one, is that we're going to continue to create content for the people, you know, whether it has an educational value for the people, or maybe it's just entertainment for the people, but basing our content around that and using our influence, our very small influence, I guess you could say, that we have, in order to better the community and have that voice for the industry.
Yeah, and I think that we are only in this position because of the support that we've had and the connections that we've made. And it's like there's just an understanding that, you know, I feel that I can use my influence as a creator to penetrate that community and influence it in a way that'll help benefit everyone. You know what I mean? And that happens through quality reviews of products, testing these products, you know, calling out, like going behind the scenes to see what these companies are really doing, you know, with like their donations. What are they lobbying the government? Because that's another thing with the penetration of the industry and the culture is you've got some dispensaries and you've got owners or big canna companies that are advocating against small home grows. So, it can be a really tangled web, I guess, to weave when it comes to trying to find who's really in it for the right reasons and not. But homework is necessary when trying to figure out where to spend your money.
We're pretty much middlemen if you think about it when it comes to it, right? We have a voice in the industry and we have a voice in the community as well, and we're kind of bridging that gap in a sense. It's kind of crazy to think that way.
I love it, dude. That's literally 100,000% why I got into the industry. When I first was offered the position as a director, I said no. And it's because I was so anti-corporate cannabis. I'm like, fuck this shit. But then again, more learning about the company, I was like, this is a great crew. This is a great business to get into. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to penetrate too. And I'm going to get in this motherfucker and I'm going to do it for the community. I'll be the Trojan horse because I'm literally a voice for the industry, bro. Like I went in my third day and was like, yo, change these fucking prices. This is outrageous. Like we need to lower it. This is crazy. Like, what do you think's going on here? We did, and we're doing way better in that area. Our branding, instead of being, we'll say herb curious, I'm like, let's be herb confident. Let's go after the people who give a shit. Why are we pointing at the person who doesn't have their hand up, but the ones who are waving saying, hey, I want to buy. We're like, not you, stoner. Not you. You.
Who, me?
Sorry, get off your phone. Look at me. It's like
I was looking for shoes.
And it's like I'm losing money on the gig, candidly. But I'm doing it because long-term gain for everybody, man. For this team I'm working with, awesome fucking crew, for the community here. And I hope that if a company in Michigan can do very well, maybe the next state that goes legal near us will look at this as a blueprint to do good. Even if they're turds, they'll realize that you got to be ethical. Even if their whole goal is to just make money, they'll be like, well, shit, we got to have good quality product, good prices, good customer service. We got to give back, got to do all this shit, but we'll make a lot of money. It's like, yeah, it's not so fucking hard. Just do good, man. Mm-hmm. People want to buy this shit.
There is people are looking. People have money. That's it. They're literally tossing money, but nobody wants it in terms of
$1 billion in Michigan in this last year. That's how much they're tossing, and that's not including the legacy market. $2 billion. Mm-hmm. We're at a record all-time high, and it's just going up. It's crazy, man. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So now more than ever, it's important for people to make a conscious decision with their money, who to support, and to ask questions, man. Ask questions. Don't just chase that THC and CBD level, because I really feel like we're compliant when we just go in and be like, what's the highest THC? Hi, I'm just looking for CBD. Yeah, I heard like CBD pillowcases are really cool. Can I get like we got to ask questions, and that's on us. That's on us.
It's true, though.
That's up to the bud tenders. That's that front level. That's that front line level of education, right? Where it's like, where are you going to get it from? Well, you're going to end up getting it from the point of sale, is from that tender, and that tender is going to be the one that knows or doesn't know, and is going to be the one that gives that first impression, And I've ran into some just awesome tenders, man. Shout out to Steve was our bartender, Christian
with a T. Tristan. I remember. I just watched the vlog.
Right, from Planet 13.
Planet 13, and that place, I don't like that place at all. But that dude right there was a reason I would go back.
Made the experience, and
that's why I like Boco, dude. Is literally the bud tenders. I hate the layout of my own shop. I fucking hate it. But the people there, the bud tenders, are so knowledgeable and they're really passionate, and like they're trying to give you the best experience, and they actually consume the product. And me and Trey weren't getting paid by them. We kept going back, and I grow my own shit. But it was like the fact that they are going to give me something that I'm really liking every time, getting me the best price.
Is that the place where you went and bought something, smoked it, didn't like it, gave a critical review, and the company was critically negative, or not negative, but bad review.
I gave them a
booth. The company was like, whoa, no, please, for the love of greatness, please come back. That was bad. It was like, we can do this better. That right there says 1,000. Like just says 1,000 things about a company and a business and people who are running it, and all it took was honesty.
Straight up. Like shout out Matt Mooney. We had him on the show. We had a great podcast epi with him, and that's what he cares about, his product. His ego is attached to his product because he cares about his product. It's not about the money. Of course you want to make money. We're in America or North America, where the hell you're at. You're in a capitalistic society. You have to pay your
Business
bills.
is business. You got to make money.
But
You got
you
to.
want to fucking put out a product you're proud of. And this is a rare thing that's like an art and a lifestyle and a passion industry. I mean, everything. Like, this is what we do, boys. This is literally what the fuck we do. We are herb professionals. You know what I'm saying? So how many things can you say that's people have that big of a passion for? Like, there's some like model train aficionados and shit like that. Like, there's whiskey aficionados, but how many like YouTube channels and podcasts and Instagram pages and events are all around this shit? Like, this community is strong. We just are a little bit afraid to tap into the industry, and the industry just overlooks the community.
Yeah,
So it's
not
about
even
us
like, not even
pushing
like in my. It's like it's not even like they are denying it. They're just not even
They just don't
looking.
see
Like,
us. They're tunnel vision.
and we're just like, whoa, you know?
Like,
Yeah.
hey guys, we're over here.
Hey, wait for us. Yeah, that's why there's so many of these events that you can't even smoke at. You know?
Yeah, exactly,
true.
bud. And that circles back to the event I went to last night. You know, it was just open for everybody. I mean, the people who went, who knew about it, but I mean, it was just like a consume. It was bring your best bag is what it was. So shout out to Exotic Matters. They just put it on to bring your best bag. They weren't trying to sell shit. They had booths to promote their products, but it was just to hang out and to honor good herb. And we do stuff like that at the Kalkushka Lounge in Kalkaska, Michigan. Just events to honor good smoke. And that's what we're this community. We just want a place to be able to celebrate it and to not feel like we're shunned out. And when we're seeing this shit with Snoop and Martha and all these people, it's like, what about us, man? What about the guy who's been locked up? What about the gal who's gotten, her kids taken away potentially because she was growing for pain? What about all these people who've been segregated and discriminated and now, like, everyone's trampling over our shit? And I think that's why the community doesn't love the industry, because they're like, fuck you guys. You completely taken over what we did for years. All the arrows in our back, we're still bleeding. Meanwhile, you're just like, thanks, and skip right past. Just walk over.
You're right, and I'm glad that you touched on that, because it's like, as we do finish up here, it's like, it's we that mindset is so negative. It's so deteriorative. Too many words. It's just a very negative mindset to have, because for us to sit back and be like, fuck the industry, they took us over and they took all our jobs and our candy's gone and stuff. The reality is that it's not over yet. And it's like, do you want to play the rollover dead game, or do you want to play I want to take my game back? I'm going to run this industry. I'm going to try to penetrate. It seems to be the word of the show. So it's
penetration.
Like,
That'll be our next shirt.
I chose my way to do it through entertainment and laughs and excitement and education through online videos and what have you. And people are going to do it versus by getting into an industry or into a company where they're a distributor and a multi-leveled corporation that's not only growing but dispensing and distributing and so on and so forth. That's what needs to happen. We cannot hang on to the mindset that just the poor me. Because that's not the case. That's not the case, because if you're living, you're breathing, and you're not incarcerated right now, you have a lot to be happy and a lot to be thankful for, and even more to fight for. So don't forget that. Don't forget that.
We just got to be hopeful, right? We got to do our part and be hopeful of the future. And I'm really interested to hear what the folks tuning into this have to say about this. What are your thoughts on this? Those are on YouTube that are able to comment. Drop something down in the comment section below. Industry versus community. What comes to your mind on that one?
A good question. I'm really curious to see what people think, and I'm really curious to see if we have this conversation again in 5 years. Do this podcast again, same topic. What do you think the conversation is going to be? I'll leave that. I'll leave that for you to think on. What do you think it'll be the same conversation? Do you think it'll be vastly different? Did the industry win, or did the culture kind of get back? Did the culture full penetrate?
Did we find a middle area and we bridged the gap where there's always going to be some evil, but there's a yin and a yang. You know what I'm saying? I think we could do that if we come together as a community, because there's strength in numbers. So community first, baby. That's what it's all about.
Great conversation,
Absolutely.
boys. Great conversation. Well, as you guys know, we do stream these every single week on Twitch on Thursdays. Come check us out. Check us out, twitch.tv/FromTheStash. But on behalf of myself, Wink on the ones and twos, ROB CLtv, and Mr. Grow It, this is FTS, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.